Well, we're hearing more stories about lost luggage. In the latest, an Air Canada customer posted on social media saying she tracked her lost luggage to an Etobicoke storage facility but wasn't able to get it back. In her latest update, she's saying that she's now been informed that the airline has donated her luggage to charity. Toronto police have confirmed to CP24 they're looking into what happened. To talk more about this, we're joined live by Duncan Dee, the former Air Canada Chief Operating Officer. Duncan, great to have you in the program this afternoon. Thanks for your time. What strikes you about this when you hear this story about luggage being apparently donated to charity after it being seemingly lost but found by the passenger? You're the expert here. What do you hear when you hear this story?
Look, there are a lot of missing pieces to the story, and the top of which is how this bag could have been misplaced between Montreal and Toronto. While this couple traveled for their honeymoon to Europe, they did see their bag last in Montreal and recheck the bag. They did get the other bag that they checked in, and this one was missing. So why did that happen? And clearly, the airline owes them some answers as to what exactly took place.
Is it common business practice? This is the first I'd ever heard of this, that airlines, after a certain amount of time, just donate luggage to charities? I'd absolutely never heard that before until today.
Actually, it is a common practice with airlines, not just in Canada, but around the world. And many charities turn around and sell those lost bags. What is peculiar with this particular piece, though, is that the traveler knew where the bag was apparently letting the airline know that they knew where the bag was, and yet the airline did not do the appropriate tracing. Look, Nick, there are many reasons why bags go missing. The number one reason is the bag tag falls off. So the bag tag that was affixed to the bag wasn't properly affixed and it fell off. And so that's how these things happen. But, you know, there are formal procedures in place at airlines everywhere, not just in Canada, but everywhere, to reunite travelers with their belongings. And obviously, in this case, that was an absolute failure.
Yeah, a miserable failure for sure. And what the reason that the person knows this is because they, chucked in those air tags, or whatever they called them, into their luggage, so they're able to track it here. And so without the air tags, this would be so hard to actually sort of definitively prove, which makes you feel like other people are probably having the same experience, but if you haven't spent, the 40 or 50 bucks to put a tag on your luggage, an air tag that is not a baggage tag per se. So what do you make of these? Is it a good idea? Would you advise people to invest in some sort of air tag or whatever is like it to sort of make sure you kind of know where your luggage is?
Air tags are definitely a useful tool. Any tool that travelers can avail themselves of to ensure that they know where their belongings are is obviously very well advised. But the number one thing, which many travelers don't actually do, which is free, which is to ensure that they've got their contact information and name, not just on the outside of the bag, but also on the inside of the bag. So, one of the things that airlines have a difficulty with is when the bag tag does fall off, that, there's nothing that allows them to trace the bag easily to where the traveler is, because all they've got at that point is a description of the bag and perhaps the color of the bag, and that's about it.
Yeah, and then clearly, so much luggage is black or gray or whatever, and that really makes it hard to narrow down, Duncan, that's for sure. But what also seems vexing about this story to me is that they, like you addressed, they knew where the bag was because of the air tags. They showed up at these buildings, but then they still couldn't find it and still weren't getting the kind of help that they needed here. I know you're the former, COO of Air Canada. What kind of a reputational hit is this for airlines when you hear these stories? They get put out in the media there when there seems like a simple solution.
Look, this is an obvious reputational hit, but we've just gone through 2022, which was an awful reputational hit for any airline operating in Canada. We had some of the worst stats on the planet for air travel in 2022, so it's been a very rough go. But in terms of this particular case, obviously Air Canada should be doing more to try to reunite these travelers with their bags. And let me just say that while these travelers were in fact compensated to the maximum allowed by the law, which is $2,300, coming back from a honeymoon means they've got items in that bag that can't be replaced by money.
Yeah.
And so, there needs to be more done to help them reunite with their belongings, and hopefully that's something which will be done in the days ahead.
Absolutely. Duncan, before I let you go, I'm so glad to have you on because we seem to struggle to get this answer. Where does the buck ultimately stop when it comes to lost luggage? Who's responsible? Is it the carrier? Is it the airport? Is it the baggage handlers? Where does the ultimate responsibility lie if your luggage is lost?
Nick, it's a great question. And, obviously there are many individuals and organizations involved in getting bags traveling. But ultimately, the responsibility is the airline with whom the traveler contracted with. This is a contract that the traveler enters into when they pay for that baggage fee and pay for that ticket, that their bag will ultimately travel with them. And if it doesn't travel with them, that it'll be found.
Okay, Duncan D., great to have this conversation with you this afternoon. Former Air Canada Chief Operating Officer, really insightful. Thanks for the time.